The family of a 5-year-old boy who collapsed and died on the playground at his Connecticut school last year has filed a wrongful death lawsuit. The parents of Romeo Pierre say their son was left lying on the ground for more than 8 minutes before receiving medical attention. According to court documents, students and teachers thought that the little boy was, quote, playing dead. Joining us now are Romeo's father, Demza Shultz Pierre Louis, and mother, Chantel Pierre Louis, as well as their attorney, Michael Chambers. First of all, we're so sorry for your loss and your pain. We can't even begin to imagine what you're going through. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, Vlad.
Tell us what happened that day.
Words can begin to describe how I felt, how we felt from that day until now. We felt many emotions, Vlad. First of all, we feel numb. As a parent, this is your worst nightmare. That is like living in a twilight zone that you will never be able to wake up from. When the police called us to tell us that they watched the video and our son was laying on the ground with no support, no assistance, we felt let down by what many believe is one of the best school districts in the nation, the West Hartford School District.
So just to give people some sort of clarification about the circumstances of that day, as we have read, is that it is recess, all the kids are playing, and your son is lying down. Teachers think he's playing dead because that was a game that was played. But I've read that students told teachers there's something wrong. Can you tell us about, it's one thing to have sort of a chaotic group of kids outside and people might understand how a teacher might look and then look away and not realize there's a problem. But teachers were told there might be a problem.
And I think that's what's the most outrageous when we watch the video.
Right.
Yeah, the police report stated that there was a little girl that went to the teacher, and the teacher responded with, the little girl said that Romeo was playing dead, and the teacher responded, he's okay.
But 5-year-olds don't stay still for 30 seconds. I mean, you'd have to bribe them to say, and
Right.
5-year-old boys have so much energy. I mean, did any of the teachers sort of kind of acknowledge that it would have been odd for a child to be still that long?
Clearly not, because he laid there for so long, and even after being told, and even one of them even noticing that he was laying on the ground while she was assisting another student, but yet still passed him 2 times after not helping a student. That's what's very alarming and disheartening.
So he was playing, and did he collapse, is as far as you understand it?
Yeah, from what we seen the video, and we saw that he was running. He just stopped, collapsed, laid on the ground, dying slowly for 9 minutes without any assistance.
So you guys are suing, and I want to read a couple statements from, first, the acting superintendent of schools said in part, quote, the death of a child is a devastating and unimaginable loss, and our thoughts are with the family and friends of Romeo Pierre Louis. This tragedy has deeply affected the Charter Oak International Academy community. And an attorney for the town of West Hartford said, the death of a child under any circumstances is a tragedy, and we extend our condolences to the family and friends of Romeo. Ultimately, after an autopsy, it was determined that there was a sort of a heart issue. Do you believe if there had been intervention earlier, your son's life could have been saved?
It could have been a bee, Aunt Mary, that stung a kid. Could have been any kid. It's not a matter of what conditions were, it's a matter of neglect. That our son needed help, and you did not give him a chance to fight for his life.
He didn't even have a chance.
What's most appalling is just an email and nothing else. The utter lack of compassion from that school district is mesmerizing.
So when you hear, this is devastating and our hearts go out, you don't buy this?
Nobody even knew this happened. That day when the first year anniversary of Romeo's passing, we're at the school and people were still surprised. What's going on? What's happening?
Really?
because nothing.
Attorney Chambers, so how do you see this case?
I mean, this is really a betrayal of trust. Anytime any of us who drop our children off to school with a nanny in a daycare center, we place a certain amount of trust that you will, at very minimum, be vigilant, right? And first and foremost, it's a betrayal of trust. So the lawsuit really enforceable. It's about accountability, right? To the best of our knowledge, to this day, no one has ever been reprimanded. There's never been an oral reprimand, a written reprimand. There's never been a suspension. No one has been fired.
What about a change in policy at the school? Any of that?
To the best of our knowledge, there's been no change of policy. There's been no retraining. So the first thing is about accountability, right? We need people to be held accountable. And the second is that this family doesn't want to see something like this ever happen to anyone again. Again, we all have a certain level of trust that we put in our schools and our teachers and our care providers, and we want to make sure that there's steps put in place that this never happens again. So additional training or policies to prevent something like this, because this is any parent's worst nightmare. And what this family is going through, first and foremost, if anything could happen, we want to make sure that there's policies and steps put in place that this never, ever happens again, because this is avoidable. And this is not pretend. There's a video that shows him collapsing in the center of the playground.
And you see the teachers not moving towards him.
There's no response, no one moving towards it. And honestly, it's really appalling. And we have to do better. And as I said, the response where teachers were being praised for how they acted in that day. We don't understand how, after viewing that video, it's not a hypothetical, that this is the school and system's position.
Can you tell us about your son?
So Romeo was just a very sweet, gentle little boy. He had a very kind heart. He was the kind of kid that would make sure that he'd bring light to the house. And anytime we were like, the house is not the same.
He was a peacemaker for sure, very loving. But top of his list was his love for Jesus. If you watch that video, he would pray, he would memorize verses by heart. We would not eat without eating. We would not eat without praying. Before we go to bed, we have to pray. He loved superheroes like all kids, and he believed like Jesus was the best superhero ever. That was the weirdest thing. And he loved his family. Family movie night, every Friday night, we have to eat pizza. All of us have to sit on the couch, turn off the lights, and find a good movie for all of us to enjoy. Me and my wife, we could not even raise our voices. He would come to us and say, guys, take our hands and put them together, and then let's just spend time together.
You have two other children, including one, Shultz, who is close in age to Romeo. How are they doing? How is Shultz doing?
Taking it one day at a time.
And how are you both doing?
Living with a hole in your heart that you will never be able to undo. It's something we hope no family in America, Vlad, has ever had to deal with, especially when you're counting on the people responsible. I don't know how I'm doing. Not good.
I think every parent, Vlad's a new parent now. Every parent can only imagine, because of what you said, that we have to depend on other adults to look out for our children every single day, and it takes a tremendous amount of trust. And when that trust is broken, I can't imagine you must worry for your other children all the time. Demza, Chantel, thank you so much.
Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Michael.